So coming from a tough background, I was faced with a lot of trials and tribulations growing up. So I'm about to just tell you guys like how I actually like overcame like overthinking. So I was kind of forced to equip the beliefs of my environment and what I was just grew up in. So I'm gonna tell you guys how I overcame dark times to get rich in my 20s. I'm currently filming this video from my high rise in Houston, so of course you can see I'm not in my hometown anymore. So I feel like it's only fair to give those advice who may be going through the same or even a similar situation, man. So first things first, like what I'm gonna tell you guys is, you probably heard it a million times, your thoughts create your reality. And how your thoughts actually create your reality is because if you think positive, you're going to believe that you can achieve something, and then therefore you're going to put in the actions and the work to go after it and chase it. So therefore you're doing the necessary things to actually make that thought into a reality. Versus if you're thinking negative, you're going to think it's too out of reach. You're going to think that it can't happen for someone like yourself, and then therefore you're going to trick yourself. You're going to trick yourself out of your spot to not even trying or not even attempting or not even putting in the work or doing something without intention or doing something without putting your best foot forward. And therefore, so now you're putting yourself in a situation to where you're making it very hard for that dream to become a reality. If you ever heard someone say, the person who thinks they can is right and the person who thinks they can't is right, like it's the same thing. It's just two completely different ways of thinking. So me growing up in a small town, I really didn't see much. It wasn't, high rises and Lamborghinis and things like that where I come from. So I was really forced to only see it digitally, right? But for a little period of time, I just kind of felt like it was out of reach. But then I more so started to see people online like myself. Like you guys may be watching me and you may be like, okay, like me and him are similar. I can do this too. So that's kind of like what I started to see. And I just knew that it was possible. Therefore, like whenever I just started seeing like younger and younger people like achieve their dreams and goals, I'm just like, okay, why can't I? And it's crazy because like as I'm talking about like my environment, whenever I would tell these goals or whenever I would tell people about these things that I would see, they will always be like, they were only able to do this because of XYZ. Or they kind of just downplayed it and kind of really made it seem like that couldn't happen for people like us, For a long period of time, I kind of like, believed it. But then as real life started to hit, I started to understand like I didn't want to follow in those cycles that these people were living, or just what that I've been accustomed to and what was the norm. I always had dreams of myself, living in a big city, having fast cars, having expensive watches. I just knew. So from that point on, I started to kind of distance myself from those people. And not saying like cut off. I'm not trying to, say the traditional, oh, you got to cut off your day ones and you got to cut off your friends and things like that. I'm not saying that, but I just started to kind of like distance myself a little bit so I could start to adapt my brain and just really try to limit the negative thoughts as much as possible to where it's like, okay, it's just me versus me, like, So now more so like as I was going through this path of trying to readjust myself or readjust my mind, a lot of bad things started to happen where I got fired from my job. The girl I was with left me. My mom had got so frustrated with me that she actually put me out, and I had to hit my dad of like I needed somewhere to go. And I just remember, just crying like in my bedroom floor, where I remember just crying in the room and just knowing that things was gonna get better. Cause now at the time I'm not in college, I don't have a job, I'm depressed. Now my mom has put me out, and what I actually started to do is I started to, of course, I'm not just gonna say like, hey, like it was just like a flip or a switch. What happened was, as those tears started to dry up, and then the next day came, what I started to do was like, okay, we can take it. I started to take things like step by step by step. I started to build a plan in my brain. It was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this. Where I had to trick myself mentally to where it's like, okay, things not that bad. But in reality, things really wasn't that bad, because I was working a 9 to 5 and I went to zero basically. The 9 to 5 at the time was a factory job, and the factory job was only paying $8 an hour. So I was really in the same place. I just didn't have income. I just didn't have cash flow yet. So I had to tell myself, like, okay, I'm really not that far off. Like, let me calm down. Like, calm down. I was like, I'm gonna pick myself up. Like, I'm gonna put in the work. I'm gonna pick myself up. I'm gonna go get another job. I'm gonna start studying online business. I'm gonna start doing all these different things. And what I did was I don't know if I still have the you guys stay right here. I'm about to see if I have it. All right, guys, I actually went and found it. So this right here, this is something. It says, remember they all counted you out, and I dated it. The date is February 16th, 2020. So that was 6 years ago, right? And I wrote this and I used it kind of as fuel. Like, I started to use that like kind of dark motivation, or I started to use the pain as just motivation, like as a chip on my shoulder, more so to where it's like they're betting against me. Who they is, it could just be my circumstances or whatever. But I just started to kind of use it as like that dark motivation, that chip on my shoulder to go to grind more. So now fast forward, as I'm building my master plan, and now I'm turning my negative thoughts into fuel. I end up getting a job at a gas station, and Harris Teeter gas station to be exact. And guys, I'm gonna be real, it was so embarrassing because like I was trying to grind on YouTube at the time, because that was the very first thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be looked at as like this big creator or whatever the case may be. I had like 8,000 subs. I had a little buzz in my hometown, and guys, it was so embarrassing, like, because the gas station, it was like a box, right? It was like the pumps out here in the gas station was like a box. It wasn't like a store where they just went in there and shopped and came and go. Like, no, it was like I had to do every transaction. So every single person that came up there seen me like face to face. And some people would be like, oh, I didn't know you worked there. Or some people would be there and they would just take a picture, you know what I'm saying? Because I had like a little like buzz at the time. Whether they was trying to be funny or not, it did something to me. It kind of hurt my ego a little bit. So that was like more fuel to the fire. That's whenever I started to really get into like online business, right? Making money online, which what I do right now and what I've been doing for the past 6 years. I started to get into that. I started to learn more into that because I'm like, nah, like I need to make money. I need to make money. So I end up, finding an opportunity. So I end up DMing a stranger online and asking them, could they teach me? Similar to what you guys may be doing, with me. Like, if you guys want to learn how to make money online and how I do it and how I'm able to live this lifestyle, I'm gonna put the link in the description box below and put it in the comment section, and me and you can hop on a call to see if this is the right move for you. But basically, I DM'd the stranger, and what I started to do as I joined this new opportunity, I did pay the stranger, and I started to re-engineer my goals, right? I started to re-engineer my goals, like, okay, I want to make 50,000. I need to get this many sales, or I need to do this to get that 50,000. And then like throughout this whole process, heavy on personal development. I'm heavy on my mental. I'm heavy on thinking bigger. I just really had to have tunnel vision. So I really used all the negative and then turn it into positive, and I kind of had to recreate myself and re-envision myself and change the way how I thought about myself and how I thought about my situation. At one point in time, like, I used to be like, okay, dang, like I wish I grew up in a rich family, or I wish I had this. But now, like, I'm more so framing it as like, nah, like, this is the come up story. Like, I'm about to be one of the ones to make it reality, one of the ones to do it and to make it from zero. I started to kind of create in my head like a villain arc story or some shit, right? But fast forward, all that negative thoughts and negative emotions and fuel and negative circumstances, it started to compound. It started to compound positively. And next thing you know, by the beginning of 2020, I was broke and depressed, as you guys see right here. By the end of 2020, I was making $20,000 a month. I'm just, showing you guys to show that you can really change your life in a year if you just lock in, focus, and then just change your thoughts. Learn to use that negative emotions as fuel to get to the next level and take risk. It's more so it's a lot of people who start to think positive, and they know that they can take things to the next level. They may just have like analysis paralysis. I feel like something that I had was I think you call it risk adverse. Whenever I made that investment into that guy I didn't know, like that was my last at the time. But that was the best money I ever spent in my life, to this day, because that's the one that changed my whole situation. Yeah, guys, you can't have analysis paralysis. There's some people who know what they need to do, and they've been plotting on something, and they've been plotting on a specific risk or opportunity, but they just overthink it. Guys. You cannot overthink it. You just gotta jump. You just gotta jump, and you just gotta, believe. Worst case scenario, you take a risk on an opportunity and you learn from it. Best case scenario, you change your life forever. So I feel like, I'm a very calculated person. I feel like the risk to reward is not even a question. I would take that risk 1,000,000 times over. Yeah, man. That is really how I overcame my negative thoughts and negative circumstances, or more so how I overcame dark times and turned it into fuel to, I don't even want to say like making a life, but to get rich in my 20s, man. We got a long way to go, but we still grounded and showing up every single day, man. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys need help making money online and want to start your own business, I'm gonna put the link in the description box below where you guys can make money doing the same thing as I'm doing. And I'm also gonna put it in the comment section. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. See you guys at the top, because Bob's an option.